What's up guys, it's Chili here, and welcome to this video on the Crusader States, a modded civilization that I got the chance to work on with the wonderful modder, Hossein81. I served as the designer for this mod, and he was the modder extraordinaire that made everything happen. Let's start by just showing you guys how exactly to download this. So you go over to the mod tab after you launch the game, go into all mods, and then just simply search up the name Hossein. I think it's just with one S. And you'll see all of his mods are available here, including Persia, the previous civilization that we launched, as well as the Vietnamese, the other civilization I got a chance to work on with him. And here are the Crusader states. You just click on this, and up in the top right corner here, all you need to hit is subscribe. So if you're already subscribed, you'll see unsubscribe, but I'm going to hit subscribe. Now you have access to the civilization. The game takes care of downloading it, and you have access to everything. Now all you do is you get out of here, go to play. Single player skirmish. You can actually host a custom game with your friends, and you can play multiplayer if you want to. I don't have anyone else to play with right now. Everyone's sleeping, so I'm gonna go ahead and go into an AI match. This is the tricky part. You go to game mode to get it actually working. Go to tuning pack and go down to Crusader states. Make sure you have this selected. The other thing to call out, I'm also going to turn on cheats just to make sure we can get through the game quickly to show you guys some stuff. The other thing to call out here is change the civilization to the Ottomans. The Ottomans are, if you want to play as the Crusaders, you have to pick the Ottomans. Now, why is that? Basically, modding restrictions, the AOE4 modding tools are very, very difficult to use. I don't know how Hossein does it. He's basically a wizard. You can't actually add any new civilizations. Instead, you have to basically replace existing civilizations, and there's a lot of mechanics that are hard-coded to each civilization. So when we're designing the Crusaders, we were like, okay, we want to make sure that there's like some way that you can get like a reinforcement army showing up and like backing up your forces. The best way we could think of to do that is to take advantage of the Ottoman vizier point system, where you can summon an army of janissaries, summon a bunch of great bombars or whatever. So we're taking advantage of that system here, and using the vizier point system and changing it into a crusade system. This does mean that we have to replace the Ottomans as a result. I know it's a bit unfortunate because I'm sure a lot of players would have loved to see the Crusaders fight the Ottomans, but in a way it's kind of poetic to have them replace it directly. We'll have them go up against the AOEIVs today. We want to keep this AI match as lore accurate as possible. And let's just start it up. Let's just get into the game and show you guys how this civilization works. Another thing to call out here is that we are also limited in like art and music assets that we can change. So even though it shows the Ottoman flag and it says the Ottomans here, trust me, as long as you have the tuning pack enabled, this is technically the Crusader states. We just can't change the flag, unfortunately. Otherwise, I absolutely would love to change that. The immersion would be amazing. So quite a few things to call out here. First thing to call out, instead of a villager, you get access to the pilgrim. This is a unique unit for the Crusaders. It is I don't know if you can tell, but it is a much smaller villager, and they speak French, which is lore accurate if you know your Crusader history. The idea behind the pilgrim is that they are an auto-queued unit. So instead of just producing units normally, villagers normally, and costing 50 food every single time, you just turn on this toggle at your town center, and bam, that's it. You don't have to think about villager production anymore. On top of that, they don't cost food to train, but they do come much slower. I think almost 50% slower than regular villagers. So they're a very slow training villager that doesn't cost food, but they also gather much slower. The stat here says 20% slower. I think we actually recently nerfed it to 30% slower, and we didn't reveal it just because we're still playing around with that number. But the idea is that it's a much less efficient villager, and but it can do everything that a villager does normally anyways. But the idea with the civilization is that the economy is extremely weak. The power curve of this civilization is relatively low. What is powerful, however, is the other mechanics in the civilization. So right here is this unique building called the Rally Banner. We're gonna go ahead and build one of these things. You can build it wherever you like. I'm gonna build it up here. The unfortunate reality, though, is that some of these assets, like the banner, for instance, if you destroy it, it actually stays. The visual marker stays here. That's because some of the campaign assets just aren't optimized for destruction. They don't have different destruction states or whatever. I think if I build a house on top of it, yeah, it will disappear once I build something else on top of it, but otherwise it's gonna stay there. So what is the Rally Banner? Let me talk about this. So not only do you get a villager whenever you produce, do you get a pilgrim whenever you produce it, but you also get a little bit of EXP. So right on this left-hand side is the vizier system. This is the same as the Ottoman vizier system. We actually can't change the text here. But if you click on it, even though it says Imperial Council, imagine this is like Crusader Council or something like that. These are all the flags of the European nations that could send support to you. So the idea is, as you accept more and more pilgrims to your Holy Land Kingdom, the European nations you're gonna curry favor with the European nations, and you can summon a Crusader army from them. So we're gonna go ahead and in a jiffy this, because it is taking a little bit of time, and then we're gonna pull that back because it's way too fast there. So now we get access to some of these. So you'll notice we get access to one column at a time. Each age you unlock a new column, and you can unlock more powerful reinforcements. So in the first age, we have Godfrey's Crusade, which is basically the French. We have the Papal Crusade, which is basically the Germans, and then we have the Northern Crusade, which is basically the Rus, but it's technically representing the Norwegian Crusade that happened. Not a lot of people know about that history. But anyways, it's a fun story. The idea here is that you'll notice that there's both a reinforcement as well as a landmark associated with every single crusade. So if I click on, say, Godfrey's Crusade, I get access to two things. So one, I get access to the reinforcement, one early Royal Knight. To do reinforcements, you go onto the rally banner, and you'll see now I have access to this Godfrey's reinforcement. I click on Q, boom, I get access to a early Royal Knight, which is a unique unit for the Crusaders. It is a Dark Age version of the French Royal Knight. As you can see, the stats are way weaker than your regular Royal Knight, but the fact that you get access to this in the Dark Age is absolutely insane. So this is one of the potential very powerful strategies that you can use with this civilization if you decide to go in that direction. The other thing that you can get is access to a landmark. So normally you can only build, you actually don't get access to any landmarks. In this case, I'm going to smorgasbord this so I get access to a bunch of resources. You'll see here, I actually don't have access to the Alcantara or the Kremlin. I only have access to the School of Cavalry, and that's because in order to unlock a landmark, you need to send the associated crusade. So if, for instance, if I were to send the Papal Crusade, okay, now that I've chosen that, I get access to the Alcantara, and I can build this wherever I want. I can also choose to send the reinforcement. You should always send the reinforcement whenever you can, as long as you have pop space. It's always going to help you. So let's go ahead and build an Alcantara. I want to show you guys what that does. We'll just build that over here. I think we're still, if we're not in a jiffy, we're going to in a jiffy this. And we're going to in a jiffy back out. Oh, there's way too many villagers. I'm going to build a bunch more houses over here. We're going to turn off villager production because it's just getting kind of ridiculous. So one of the things I was trying to do with the civilization design is that just like in the real life crusades, this is a multicultural civilization, and it's kind of meant to reflect that. Our knight's still chasing the scout over there, and so you'll have you'll be able to have French royal knights mixed with an Auchenchapel, mixed with longbows, and you get to take advantage of all the different European civilizations that historically contributed to the Crusades. And if you wanted to, you can kind of role play as any of those civilizations for a little bit. For instance, if you went for Godfrey's Crusade, you get access to the School of Cavalry. So now you can start pumping out royal knights and basically play as though you were the French in the feudal age. Alternatively, if you get the Auchenchapel, you can kind of role play as the HRE for a little bit and get a very powerful economy. Notice that the Auchenchapel has a little bit of an aura around it, and that these villagers get a little bit of a buff here. And I'm getting attacked, aren't I? It's not that big of a deal. It's just kind of annoying. So the cool thing about the Auchenchapel, well, not that cool, I guess, but it's very difficult to translate different civilizations' buffs. I mentioned earlier that the Ottoman vizier buff was specific to the Ottoman civilization, and we had to modify the Ottoman civilization in order to get access to that. Similarly, for HRE, the inspiration mechanic is specific to HRE. So in order to get it working here, Hossein had to come up with some magical trickery. We have this button here that you're not supposed to see. Pretend like you don't see this. Even if you click on it, it doesn't do anything. But what it does is it tells you that there is an increased villager gather rate by 30% for every villager in this aura. If you click on the villager, it technically doesn't show any indicators over here, but you do get the glow. So just kind of in your mind register that these villagers are getting that buff when they're gathering resources near the Auchenchapel. Additionally, the Auchenchapel also gives the bonus to monks. So since you get a monk reinforcement, you can actually see here when I walk in the monk's aura, now they also get that bonus 30%. So it's not quite the same as the inspiration mechanic from HRE, but it kind of takes inspiration from that. And if you choose to get the Alchemist, you kind of role play as that same thing. You have your monks kind of hanging out around your villagers, essentially buffing them up. So I thought that was kind of cool. So now that we're in the feudal age, I want to talk about a few other things. One thing is the town center. Notice that the town center is actually in the Dark Age sector. This civilization has access to town centers in the Dark Age, which is kind of crazy, especially because town centers for this civilization produce villagers for free. So normally when you're training villagers for the town center, you need at least 4 vills on food to constantly produce villagers without running out of food. If you got 2 town centers, you would need at least 8 villagers on food to constantly produce villagers from both town centers. With this civilization, because it doesn't cost any food, a second town center is just absolute crazy amounts of value. So to nerf it a little bit, we increase the cost of the town center by 100 resources. So it costs 450 wood and 400 stone. So if you do want to get the town center up in the Dark Age, it's going to cost you. It's going to delay your the rest of your feudal play, which could lead to disastrous effects. So you have to think about whether or not this is worth it. It probably is worth it as far as the economy goes, but it is a big risk. The other thing to call out here is another unique. I'm getting attacked. What do I do? You know what? I'm gonna do this. We're gonna show off the order chapter. So this is a really cool thing, and I'm just gonna make a bunch of stuff here. We're gonna in a jiffy this. Get this thing up here, and you can see here I'm getting some of these badass guys right here. We're gonna send them out, and then I'm gonna talk about them. Let's actually switch it over. Get some of these badass guys too. There we go. Alright, and then now we're going to turn off in a jiffy. Alright. We're pulling back. So, what is the order chapter? It looks like a military school. That's because it basically functions like a military school. It costs 100 wood and 100 stone, and you only get 1 per age, starting in the feudal age. So unlike the military school, you can't build it in the Dark Age. You can only start building it in the feudal age, and that's because the units you get from this building are absolutely insane. These are the Order Knights, the Templar, Hospitaller, and Teutonic Knights, and this guy's gonna take forever to come out. They do take a very long time to train, so we're gonna in a jiffy to get a few of these guys out. Each of these units has a completely different mechanic, and the assets here, if you haven't seen them before, they're from the campaign for the Sultans Ascend. They have these beautiful assets, and I don't know why the developers chose not to add this to multiplayer, because it'd be so cool to see these guys. We actually don't have a single unit in the game that uses great helms, or a single unit in the multiplayer version of the game that uses great helms, and that's just such a misstep in my opinion. Like, it's such a cool looking unit. I would love to see these guys in the multiplayer game. Hopefully the developers take inspiration from this and actually release a Crusader civilization somewhere down the line. Oh god, we're getting attacked again. When will they ever learn? Alright, so you're gonna see these Crusaders in action for a little bit. They're gonna mop up the floor with these much weaker units. Alright, we don't wanna do all that. Let them go for now. So each Order Knight is an extremely buffed up version of a unit. It takes like 2 minutes to pump out one of these guys. So as you can imagine, if you're going to feudal age, you're at like the 3 minutes into the feudal age, you only get like 1 or 2 of these units. So these guys are not meant to be your mainstay unit. They're meant to kind of like buff up your forces. You'll have a regular army, and then every now and then you'll have a couple of these special dudes sprinkled in. When you get into the late game, then you can start kind of mass producing these guys, and I'll show you what that means in a little bit. Each of these Order Knights, they function in a completely different way, so you do have to think about which one you want to produce. The Teutonic Knight is your tank specialist. It is a very tanky man-at-arms style unit. At 165 health, it has more health than an elite man-at-arms, even in the feudal age. And on top of that, it has this unique special ability called Ironclad. Reduces incoming range damage by 50% for 15 seconds. You click on this thing, and you'll see this little icon here, Body of Iron. This is the same effect that the Shaolin monks have. So you see that little glow there. This guy's now impervious virtually impervious to missile fire. Super strong, especially in the feudal age. The other thing to call out here, however, is that the weakness of the Teutonic Knight is that it is very slow. It has 1.0 movement speed, which makes it the slowest unit in the game. On top of that, the attack speed of this unit is 2.0 seconds, so it's a very slow attacking unit as well. That being said, at 14 attack damage, it's about as strong as a Order of the Dragon man-at-arms. So it's high attack, very slow attack speed, very tanky, but very slow movement speed. The next unit I want to talk about is the Knights Templar. Taking inspiration from like kind of the fanatical vibe that the Templars have, or at least their rep has in history, these guys are all about charging. They have this ability called Fanatical Charge. This is exactly the same thing as the AOEIV Camel Lancer. They charge longer, they charge more often, and when they're holding their charge for a very long time, depending on how far they charge, they actually get bonus damage from the charge, up to 40%. So very powerful charge. On top of that, these guys move as fast as Sofas, but they also have less health than Sofas, so they're very weak. And the last thing that I want to call out here is I don't have the stats here, but they do AOE damage with their charge, so it's very similar to the Chinese Fire Lancer. So you can think of these guys as almost like a discount Fire Lancer mixed with a Camel Lancer mixed with a Sofa. They are a glass cannon type of knight unit. Very powerful charge, but you don't want to keep them in the battle. You want to pull them out, hit and run. That's the kind of tactic you want to do with these guys. The last unit I want to call out here is the Hospitaller. As you can see here, they don't have a lance. They don't have a charge ability. They are just a melee cavalry unit. So they're kind of like a cataphract in that sense. They are very tanky at 190 health, and relatively slow moving. I think they're as slow as a cataphract, or maybe as slow as just a regular knight. Their attack damage is only at 9 damage, but their attack speed is at 1.0. So they're very fast attack speed, very slow attack damage, which means that they're super good against unarmored units, super weak against armored units. So that's the kind of thing you got to watch out for these guys. The other thing is that you can see this. They have an ability called Field Medicine. This is inspired by the fact that the Knights Hospitaller formed some of the first hospitals in medieval Christendom, and if you click on it, it heals all nearby units for the next 10 seconds. Extremely powerful ability, especially if you time it right. The disadvantage, however, is that this is a global ability, so it's not like you can click on each one of these Hospitaller Knights and reactivate that ability. All Hospitallers kind of follow the same global Field Medicine cooldown. So each of these guys, as you can see, kind of serve a slightly different role, and depending on the state of the game, you might want to produce one or produce another, maybe mix and match a few of these guys if you can, and then kind of play around with that. I think there's a lot of fun opportunity. We tried really hard to make sure that the Order Knights were each had their own little special niche and had their own little special identity. They're powerful, but not too ridiculously powerful that they're imbalanced. That was the idea behind these guys. The other thing to call out here is that because we have auto-training villagers, we have auto-training knights, how do you speed that up? Well, one way you can speed that up is this unique building called the Convent. We'll go ahead and build that. The Convent, if you can tell, has a influence aura that adds a plus button. It basically buffs up the military schools, or the order chapters rather, and the town centers, as well as monasteries. Actually, it buffs up any production of a religious unit. So it's, in that sense, it's almost very similar to the Ottoman blacksmith. It's the exact same aura, but given to religious units instead. And we have this unique building asset also from the campaign, I think. This building also houses unique text, so it can buff up villager health. It can this True Cross ability, which basically turns your monks holding relics into curl ties, which is really cool. And they have the elite upgrades in Age 4 for the different Order Knights. And then up here is a unique ability called Almsgiving. The idea is that you train these things, all these different religious units, that you slowly generate EXP. If that's not fast enough for you, you can get almsgiving and basically hand out free food and generate a bunch of extra EXP. So if I research this, it costs 500 food. The benefit of this is that or one thing you can keep in mind is that like regular villagers don't cost food for this civilization, so all that extra food can basically go into your XP generation. And this is a way to, like, if you're trying to rush up the next reinforcement, you can. And then after you get that first level, you unlock the next level of EXP that you can send. So you can basically keep on ramping up your EXP generation. And let's take a look at the next Crusader level. So we have the Venetian Crusade, which gives you Arbitraires and access to the Golden Horn Tower from the Byzantines, which is super cool. The Imperial Crusade, you get a bunch of men-at-arms. You also get access to the Regnitz Cathedral, so you can go for relics. And then the Lionheart's Crusade, you get access to the English King, Longbowmen, and you can also build the White Tower. So a lot of really, really cool options that kind of completely change up how you choose to play. This Camel Lance just killed my monk. Oh no. We're gonna go ahead and go with the Venetian Crusade. I want to show you guys the Golden Horn Tower. Super cool. Man, look at this more accurate fight, man. The AOEIVs versus these Crusader Knights. Oh, that's what I love to see. That's what I love to see. All right, let's in a jiffy this. And I need to turn off production because we're gonna rapidly run out of housing space. All right, just as before, I've unlocked the Golden Horn Tower. I don't have access to the other landmarks. I'm gonna go ahead and produce one of those guys. And I'm going to turn off production here because this is going to produce a crap ton of units. I can also summon the Venetian reinforcements. I forgot to do that earlier, so I get access to a couple Arbitraires as well as a Springald. This is a Springald that you can summon in the Feudal Age originally, so it's pretty powerful for that reason. And now we take a look at the Golden Horn Tower. So, Golden Horn Tower, the Byzantines normally produce a bunch of like different mercenaries from it. For the Crusaders, you can produce unique Crusader units here. So the Genoese reinforcements are Arbitraires. You can produce longbows from it, and also Livonian reinforcements. These are a very interesting, unique unit. I'm going to produce a few of these guys. Show you guys this unique unit. This is a unique Crusader unit. They're kind of like Lance Connect. So they have a little bit of armor, unlike Lance Connect, and they don't deal quite as much damage, but you can think of them as kind of like a medium infantry version of Lance Connect. The unit model here is actually the English Spearman. I chose it because it has a little cross on the sign. I just felt like it was really appropriate. The AoE damage, super cool. We'll see if this guy gets his hit. He doesn't. What? Animation canceled? Okay, alright, we're pulling back. Super cool looking units. I'm really glad. I'm really happy with how these guys turned out. So you can get those guys. You can get French reinforcements. You can get Byzantine Limitane as well. So a lot of different options for reinforcements. That's the Golden Horn Tower. Let me see. I also want to show off the different unique units for the civilization, or not unique units rather, but regular units. We're gonna go ahead and build one in each of these. Show this off. Oh my god, I'm just getting inundated with these guys. We're just gonna charge in, get rid of those guys. Alright, so as you can see here, these are some of our units. So one of the cool things about this civilization is that it's an amalgamation of all these different Christian kingdoms. So your scout is speaking Greek. It's a Byzantine scout. Your knight is an English knight. Your horseman is a French horseman. Your men-at-arms is English. Your spearman is Ottoman, I guess. And then you have an English crossbow, you have a German archer, and then you also have access to this fire thrower that's speaking Greek. So what are fire throwers? This civilization doesn't have access to hand cannoneers, because it felt a little bit strange to give the Crusaders hand cannoneers, because they were long gone by the time any hand cannons were around. So instead we gave them the fire throwers. This is inspired by a Age of Empires 3 unit. Actually, there's a lot of Age of Empires 3 inspirations here. I don't know if there's Ottoman players from Age of Empires 3, but the auto training with the slow villager production is very, very reminiscent of the Ottomans in that game, as well as like the home city shipments. So fire throwers are basically, as their name suggests, they're kind of like a grenadier style unit, but they throw fire. They throw naphtha fire bombs, kind of like Molotovs. You can see that they're gonna start burning down this building just by constantly throwing all these fire bombs. Very, very cool unit, especially good against masses of enemy units. The fact that they're available in the Castle Age means that we can't make them too powerful in the Castle Age. You kind of have to build them up over time. So there's a few upgrades here. You can get elite upgrades, and you can get naphtha, which will actually double the amount of damage that they deal. So these guys can kind of upgrade over time. So that's a little bit of a preview of that, and let's go ahead and get into the next age. we're gonna take, let's see, we have the Livonian Crusade where we can get more sword brothers and the High Armory, the Rus High Armory. If we want to do that, we can do the Palace of Swabia, get the Dragon Gilded Knights, and the Maltese Crusade where we can get more fire throwers and unlock the Red Palace. So a lot of different interesting options. We're gonna go for the Dragon Crusade, so we can summon the reinforcements immediately. We get access to the these badass Dragon Gilded Knights. And then we also get access to the Palace of Swabia. So I'm going to build one of these things and just show you guys how this thing works. So the Palace of Swabia is unique for this civilization in that you get access to the Dragon Pilgrim. So whereas your regular pilgrims are very small, we can actually compare the size here. Your regular pilgrims are very small and they're very inefficient at gathering. Your Dragon Pilgrims are basically twice their size. God damn, they're actually so much bigger. And they actually gather so fast that they're actually better than regular villagers. So this is how you get like a really efficient economy in the late game if you basically replace your regular pilgrims with these Dragon Pilgrims. So that's an option for you. The downside is that they don't auto train and they do cost food this time. You can't get them for free, for completely free. But 20 food is basically nothing at this stage in the game anyway, so it's not that bad. Here we can see our fire throwers going to work. We're gonna go ahead and get some upgrades for them and see how they really go to work. I'm gonna actually back up everyone else. We're just gonna get the fire throwers out there. Burn, burn. Oh my god, you can see the damage coming out there. Terrible, terrible damage. Oh, okay, fire lancers want some. Oh my god, look at that damage. Just dishing out. Holy crap. Alright, we're gonna pull back now. That's enough of that. Let's see if we can get like a bunch of Templars out here. I want to show you guys the upgraded version. So I mentioned earlier, oh shoot, can we get a monk out here? Let's get a monk as well. Like a monastery. I mentioned earlier that you can upgrade them to elite status as well once you get to the Imperial Age. So we'll go ahead and take a look at what the elite status means for each of these units. So for the Templars, you upgrade Freemasons to get the elite version. You get the Knights golden armor with the capes. Oh my god, look how good that looks. And then you get the Prussian Crusade, gives you the upgraded version of the Teutonic Knights. You get, oh my god, you get the helmets with the feathers, lore accurate. We love that. And then finally Hospitallers. Or the do I not have Hospitallers? Oh shoot. Okay. Well, they also look really cool. You get access to the cape. They get the golden armor. They look really good. I don't know why these units are not in the multiplayer version already. And we'll just have these guys charge out and wreak some havoc. I'm also gonna pick up a relic and show you guys this true cross ability. Very much inspired by Kingdom of Heaven. If you guys have seen that movie. Let's see if we can get the charge going. Show you guys the AOE charge in action. In the glory. Look at that. Look at that. The amount of damage that just got dished out. It's not quite completely broken level. So we tried really hard to keep it balanced. But it is pretty fun when you get a mass of these guys going. Notice now that they're healing. The reason for that is that the priest picked up a relic, and we have the true cross ability, which means that everyone in this aura is now getting the curl type bonus. They get bonus damage, and they start healing passively nearby. So super powerful upgrade once you get it in the Castle Age. I imagine late game Crusader armies are basically going to be walking with this like monk holding the relic in tow. Very much inspired by that like image of like the true cross going into battle. I just think it's so cool like to see this. All right, we're just gonna move into the enemy base and see if we can kill that. Defeat those IBIDs over there. Is there any other unit I wanna show off right now? I think that's it. You can build up to. Oh! Actually, there was another thing I want to show off. Let's go ahead and get these upgrades so we can get some. I'm gonna in a jiffy a few knights so that we can wait. Oh, whoops! In a jiffy, we can get some more EXP. Okay, we got some EXP, and all right. So once you get into the last age, in the Imperial Age, you can send one more reinforcement that allows you to unlock this post-imperial age. So the Crusaders have access to a post-imperial age where they can build one of the unique Crusader order fortresses, whether it's the Marienburg, which is the famous Teutonic Knight fortress, the Temple Mount for the Templars, and then Crac des Chevaliers, which is a very famous castle that was the home base of the Hospitaller Knights. So if you summon one of their reinforcements in the last age, so let's say for instance we summon the Teutonic Crusade, we can summon an absolute army of Teutonic Knights in the Imperial Age. And then let's build their Marienburg. We'll build it up here. So it's a big ass keep that auto trains batches of Teutonic Knights. This is getting ridiculous. I'm gonna delete this. You can see we're gonna train batches of them, 5 at a time. It doesn't produce that fast, but they do produce relatively fast, and it also benefits from the convent. So if you build a convent next to it, it'll build even faster. So this is kind of like your late game production structure. You can pump out a bunch of Order Knights and get an absolute massive. Now these guys can kind of be your mainstay army. It doesn't cost any resources for you to do this, so super powerful. We're gonna have these guys charge into battle and see how all that works. Also heal our forces. We got the true cross moving around. This is the fantasy that I'm talking about. This is that Crusader fantasy, a mix of all these different civilizations. Your fire throws are burning down the different buildings. Oh man, so cool. I'm gonna send a bunch more fire throws on the front line. Was there anything else I wanted to show off here? We have the blacksmith. We have the university. Pretty standard stuff in all the other buildings. And then, oh yeah, Church of the Holy Sepulchre, that's the wonder. I think we're using the English wonder model here, but historically speaking, Church of the Sepulchre is the site of Jesus's crucifixion, so a very important, if not the most important site in all of Christianity. I guess I want to briefly talk about strategies that people can employ. So there's a lot of different directions you can go in with the Civ. It very much is taking inspiration from the idea that like you're mixing and matching different European civilization playstyles depending on the landmarks and the units that you choose to build, and then you can kind of like find your own path, and it's very much a multinational kind of civilization. I think like if I'm looking at the different ways that you can play this, if you go in the Dark Age, you can kind of go for that school of cavalry, start pumping out a bunch of royal knights, make a few archers, and now you're role playing as the French. You can basically go for like feudal aggression and try to end the game there. Or if you went for the Aachen-Chapel, you can try to go for like a fast castle play. Very much similar to playing HRE. You go for a bunch of villagers, you buff them up with your monk, you rush Castle Age, you get the Regnus Cathedral going up, and then you start collecting a bunch of relics, and then maybe you even go for Fast Imperial with the Palace of Swabia and start pumping out even more villagers. So that's an option for you as well if you wanted to take that. Or if you wanted to play for more defensive turtley style, you can build a Kremlin. You can go like 2 town centers in the Dark Age and then go for a Kremlin to defend that, and then from there you can go into like a White Tower, or you can go for the Golden Horn Tower. There's so many different ways that you can play this civilization depending on like which crusades you choose to take on. And in fact, in a way, it's like each time you take on a crusade, that's the key strategic decision that you're making, and you're almost declaring that to your opponent, like this is the strategy I'm gonna go for. This is the civilization I'm role playing as now. So a ton of cool potential. Oh, it looks like we actually burned down the UBIT capital right in time. So lower accurate. There we go. That's the Crusaders, guys. Thanks so much for checking this video out. I can't wait for you guys to try it out. I want to hear if you do play a game, especially if you play a game against your friends, you do a competitive match. I want to tell me your username. Message me. I have my Discord linked below, and let me know. I will watch your video. I'll watch your replay, and I might even do a casted version of the game. It would also be amazing if we can get some like Hossein and I in the background are trying to organize some pro games to see if how pro players are thinking about this civilization, how they would interpret it. Obviously, this is a modded civ. We only have the data between my games with Hossein and a few other games with other folks that were helping us out. So I can't claim it's fully balanced, but it is inspired based on the numbers within the game already, and we try to keep it in line so it's not too ridiculous. Either it might even lean towards underpowered right now, actually. So yeah, try it out and let me know. I'd love to hear your feedback on this civilization, and if you enjoyed it or you ran into any issues, let me know as well. That's all from me. Thanks so much, guys. Stay frosty, stay chilly.